So good evening, and thank you for tuning in to our PowerPoint presentation. My name is Danielle Franklin.
I'm Nikki Farrow.
I'm Quinn Smith.
And I'm Gianna Rizzo.
And we're presenting our results from Fresh Fit Corporation. So just to dive into the financial performance, I'm going to go line by line. So in the wholesale sector, at year 10, you can see that we're in like over the 300,000 marking, which isn't bad. For year 14, we jumped by a whole 100,000 to about 400,000, $56,676. By year 15, we saw a slight drop, but we were still in the 400,000 marking. By year 20, we ended the year, the term off really high at 800,000, just a little over 800,000. In our internet revenues, it's a continuous growth, as you can see, very minimal dips. We started from in year 10, 90,000, and then we ended 425,000 over here, so we did fairly well. In the private label, as you can see, we had a rough start. We actually started at 27,000. By year 12, we picked up some speed and got up to 53,000. And then year 13, went back to 32, and then we suffered about like a $12,000 loss in revenue to 20,000. And then year 15, it also decreased by half, so we were at 10,000. So as you can see here, we kind of at 15 just went down and flatlined all the way in the rest of our term. In total, from year 10, we ended again at 400,000, which is a great way to start. At the end, we ended at $1,036,904. Significant years that we want to highlight and that we saw significance in was year 14 to 15. We saw actually 2.06 decrease. That was a hard year for us, and we'll explain why later on. From year 15 to 16, that's where we kind of gained back on track and started working again. We got a 26% increase from 15 to 16 alone, that's 1 year. From year 10 to year 20, it was an overall 65% increase from total revenue.
Over the first few years of our simulation, we only underwent slight changes. From year 10 to 15, the investors' expectations were annual increases of 7%. Ours was actually 31%. From 15 to 20, the investors hoped for a 5% increase, and ours was actually 16.7. Only twice over the entire simulation, in years 16 and 20, did we not meet our goals. But we analyzed the mistakes and any misjudgments that we made to make up for in the following years.
So as you can see, our ROE fluctuated throughout the simulation, getting off to kind of a rough start in our first year, partially due to a learning curve. And from years 11 to 14, we started steadily increasing at a decreasing rate, where at year 15, we see a big drop off, and we think that could partially be due to the fully depreciated equipment in our North American region, therefore stunting our production growth. We had a sudden spike into year 16, which happened to be our best performing year, and our ROE was able to reach its max value throughout the whole simulation. This was a high performing year for us. We even expanded our facilities into Latin America, so it wasn't a surprise that we saw a high return that year. Unfortunately, we weren't able to maintain that, and year 17, we saw a drop off. And from then on, we started increasing again at a decreasing rate, with our ROE finishing just under 25%. Overall, through start to finish of the simulation, our weighted average for our ROE beat investors' expectations. Even given 5 out of the 10 years individually, we were just falling short of those expectations.
So our credit rating went down in the beginning because we were at a high risk of default. Since our consistent ending cash balance was negative, we corrected this issue by year 15 and started to have a positive ending cash balance. You could see this was positively reflected in our reports because our credit rating went up from that year on and has been at the highest it could be.
So, stock price. In the beginning, we saw kind of a small decline, nothing that we were too worried about, because from year 13 to 14, we started increasing again, where year 15, we kind of plateaued and had a sudden increase in our stock price. We jumped about 105% from the year before, and all of our performance measures that year were way better than we had thought. We even earned the Bullseye Award that year. So, we were really happy about that. In year 17, we fell off just a little bit, and so did things like our profit through our production and stuff like that. From years 18 to 20, we kept our stock price in between $150 to $200. And as far as investors' expectation goes, out of the 10 years, 7 of them we meet or beat the investors' expectations. Our image rating, like kind of all the other years, we started off slow, but then saw a big spike. It grew 17%, and we were beating investors' expectations by 10%, making our image rating the best in the industry for both years 12, and we maintained that through year 13. It was partially due to us increasing our SQ rating and market shares throughout all of the regions. And in year 16, we kind of picked back up again. And that year we won the Corporate Responsibility Award, which didn't directly boost our image rating, but definitely helped us out. Years 17 and 19, we kind of struggled to increase our market share throughout the regions and our SQ ratings throughout the regions. But we were able to correct our mistakes from year 19 in our final year of 20 and finishing above expectations of our investors.
It's always necessary for a company to clearly state their mission for both their internal and external stakeholders. FreshFit aims to deliver high-quality products to their customers, and we plan to embark on a quality control program by focusing on the equipment, materials, and the labor of our products to do so. We also will plan to increase our net profits by increasing the production rate to meet the demands in each region, satisfying both new and current customers. We also want our customers to be confident in the products that they buy from us, because the price may be higher now, but they will reap the long-term benefits due to the increased quality that they get from us. All right. After some late year declines, our investor expectations weren't necessarily met. So we had to step up our game over the next couple years. For the EPS, we're hoping for a 10% annual increase, a return on equity of a 20% increase each year. Our stock price, we're also aiming for a 15% annual increase. When it comes to a credit rating, having an A+ credit rating is a necessity for all businesses, and keeping it will be the only way to keep us in competition. And having a high image rating is also needed in the footwear industry. Having an 81 in year 20 is great, but we know that we can do better, and we're hoping that after 2 years we can get up to an 85, because it is not only feasible, but it shows that we are constantly aiming to increase the image of our brand. After analyzing and discovering what choices worked and what didn't, we will put forth the efforts to not only get us back on track, but to go above and beyond investor expectations, so we can break away from the pack and become into the higher competition in the industry.
So overall, we had a similar marketing strategy throughout our 4 regions in the internet market. We wanted to keep our shoe quality above average while keeping our prices not the highest in the industry. The prices in each industry weren't always the same, and that's probably due to depending on our EPS and demand, and that was probably due to how it was distributed and what the exchange rates were at the time. Towards the end, we increased our advertising expenses and added celebrities to help increase our demand.
Our competitive strategy for our wholesale market was kind of important for us, being that it was our highest profiting segment throughout the simulation. So really we worked on meeting the demand in every region and exploiting the regions where our market share was the strongest. Generally, if we saw a great market share we gradually increased our production year to year. Something else we did as a tactic was kind of played with our quality of our shoe because we wanted to maintain our mission of providing quality products, but we geared away from selling them at higher prices because we didn't see much profit from that. So we kept our prices competitive and we increased our quality where we could. So doing things like using less superior materials and producing more models using the special features. That kind of helped us control our costs at the end and still give quality products. So on top of that, we kind of were aware of our exchange rates and made sure we wouldn't see any losses distributed to the wrong countries and regions, things like that.
And then for our private label market, as we said before in the beginning, we had a rough start. So it's very important for us to just evaluate the decisions we had in the beginning. As I mentioned before, in the private label, we started off with like 27,000, and then 5 years into the simulation, we drastically went down. For that reason, we kind of evaluated the importance of the private label and kind of decided as a strategy to just drop the market entirely and reallocate funds elsewhere to help us generate more revenue in other segments that are clearly more profitable.
All right, so having a healthy production strategy is a requirement to keep our products at a high quality. Having a greater ratio of new to old equipment will increase that dramatically. In the beginning, we had a 50-50 split of the new to old equipment, and by the end, it changed to 75 to 25 split. In doing so, it increased the SQ by about half a star. It also decreased the rejection rate by 20%. Our high was 10.1%, and by the end, our low was a 7.6. It also increased the labor productivity. The compensation and training of production workers is also a major aspect of our production strategy. We had an annual base wage increase of 2%, which leads to higher productivity. We also implemented incremental increases in incentive pay while keeping below the 25% threshold. We ended with a 19.47% incentive for production workers with limited rejection rates. Having a proper funding for best practices training was also key in our production strategy. Our ending annual total was just over $3 million. This helped decrease the rejection rates due to defective workmanship, helped improve the SQ rating in branded footwear, decrease material waste, and increase worker productivity by as much as 1% per year. Overtime is a cost some companies avoid, but some will take as much of as possible. We thought it was a necessity and spent $30 million in year 20 on it. This number may seem overwhelming, but it was the only way to get our supply large enough to meet the increasing demand. Having an 11.8% annual increase in total production costs to some may seem excessive. However, most of these increases directly impacted the quality of our goods.
So our financing strategy was pretty adaptable throughout the simulations. We did some things to maintain our financial status from year to year. This involved typically aiming to meet investors' expectations and deviating from that where we saw was necessary. So we did things like avoid negative cash balances. When we were issued an overdraft loan, we tried to repay that as fast as we can with some early repayments to kind of mitigate the interest expenses we were facing. We were issuing and repurchasing stock and staying aware of exchange rates. So instead of taking out loans, we used the equity we had, whether it was issuing or repurchasing stocks, to kind of finance our operations that way. And that was our strategy pretty much throughout the simulation, go with the flow of how things went. Our dividend policy was, simply put, just pay out what was feasible with the earnings we were receiving year to year. If we received high earnings in a year, we were going to pay out more dividends to our investors because essentially we want to make our investors happy. So in years we couldn't, unfortunately, we would have to decrease our dividends, and basically we were paying out to the point where we paid out everything so that we didn't end up in the reds with our cash balance at the end of the year. The next 2 years, based off our goal of increasing our EPS by 10%, we're going to look to increase our dividend payouts by 20% for the next following years.
Just to give you a snapshot of the competitive competitors we had in the wholesale market. In year 19, we in the Europe and Africa market, the strongest was none because we were by far the strongest competitor in that market in year 19. The closest was Awesome Athletics and Best Company. In the Asian Pacific, it was Awesome Athletics and Best Company. Closest was Crazy Kicks and Dynamic Feet. In Latin America, it was Awesome Athletics and Best Company, and the closest to us was Crazy Kicks and Dynamic Feet. In year 20, the Europe, Africa, it was again none. We dominated that sector in year 20 as well. The closest to us was Awesome Athletics and Best Company. In the Asian Pacific, it was again Awesome Athletics and Best Company. The closest to us was Crazy Kicks and G-Dogs. In Latin America, it was Awesome Athletics, and the closest to us was Best Company and Dynamic Feet. But I want to just, in order to save some time, I want to give a snapshot on North America and a little bit more information on that. So in North America, the strongest was Awesome Athletics, Best Company, and Elite Explorers. And the closest to us was Crazy Kicks and Dynamic Feet in year 19. Compared to them, our price was higher. We, in that year, charged $63.25, and their average was about $61.50. So it's about a $2 and change difference. The S&Q rating, ours was higher than their average of the strongest ones. We had a 6.2, while their average was about 5.4. And pairs sold, we sold about 2,564, and their average was about 4,023 pairs. So they sold more than half of what we could. Maybe that's why they were able to dominate that sector. They were able to produce more than we were at that time. And the market share for us, it was 13.2%, whereas their average was about 20.8%. The industry average in total for year 19, the price was $61.61, so we were a little above the average. The S&Q rating was 5.7, so we were again above average. And pairs sold, it was 2,766 pairs, so we were slightly below, very close to it, but not quite there. And for the market share, it was 14.3 for the industry average, and we were at 13.2. So again, we're either slightly above the average or right underneath in year 19 compared to all the other competitors. Now, if we look at year 20, again, our strongest competitors were Awesome Athletics and Best Company. The closest to us was Elite Explorers. So as you can see, a slight change. We're able to move up a little bit in the hierarchy of the companies that dominate the market and which ones do not. Compared to us, our price was significantly higher. We charged $64 in year 20 for our average shoe, while the strongest competitors charged $59.04, so we were quite up there. The S&Q rating was higher than average. Ours was 6.6, while their average was just 6. Pairs sold was 3,235 for us. It was kind of lower than the average. It was again at 4,023 pairs. And for the market share, we had a slight increase. We went from, 13.2 to 15.8, and it was still lower than their average, which was about 23.1. For the industry average, the price for a shoe was $62.54. So again, we're slightly above by $2. The S&Q rating was 6.2, whereas again, ours was slightly above by 6.6. Pairs sold was 2,922 pairs, wow. We were slightly above that by almost a full 1,000, so that was a good year for us. We found a way to rank up production. And for the market share, we were finally slightly above, almost a whole 2 points ahead, which is a fairly great thing for us. We were really proud.
So while analyzing our competitors in the internet market, I took sort of a different approach than the wholesale. I was pretty much comparing the market share, percentage, and prices and SQ rating. So I'm going to throw a lot of numbers at you. Our closest competitors were pretty much Crazy Kicks and Elite Explorers, except for in Europe and Africa, where it was G-Dogs and Awesome Athletics. So in year 20 in North America, we gained 3.7 market share in this region from year 19. Elite Explorers lost 3.5%, and Crazy Kicks gained 5.2%. Crazy Kicks did not change the price of their shoes from year 19, but they did slightly decrease their SQ rating. Elite Explorers raised their prices, but they did slightly decrease. Oh, they raised their prices by $2 and increased their SQ rating by almost 3 stars. In Europe, Africa, we gained about 2.1% market share in this region, while Awesome Athletics lost 1.5% and G-Dogs gained 5.2%. G-Dogs raised their prices and decreased their SQ rating, while Awesome Athletics lowered their prices and upped their SQ rating by almost 1 star. In Asia Pacific, we gained 2.4% market share from year 19, and Crazy Kicks gained 2% market share, while Elite Explorers gained 2.4%. So Crazy Kicks increased their prices and SQ rating in year 20, while Elite Explorers kept their price the same, but almost doubled their SQ rating. In Latin America, we gained 5.4% of the market share, and Elite Explorers lost 4.3%, as Crazy Kicks also lost 2.3%. So Crazy Kicks increased their prices and SQ rating during this year, and Elite Explorers, again, kept their prices the same, but nearly doubled their SQ rating. So overall, we gained market share in every region while raising our SQ ratings and keeping our prices pretty much similar, if not the same, as they were the year before. So competitors in the private label market, we decided to discontinue this market because financially it just made the most sense for our company. In the beginning, we were competing, and like for example, in year 12, we had the highest market share, but in year 13, it went down about 16%, and another 4% in year 14. So at this point, we were losing sales, and we didn't want to lower the quality and the price of our shoes because that just wouldn't be profitable for us. So during the last 2 years, we did not have rivals, but Awesome Athletics and Best Company were dominating this market.
So just to take away some things that we've learned from this simulation is that minor changes can make a huge difference to our end results. As we were just saying before, the private label market as a whole, we started out okay, and as the years went on, we noticed that we weren't doing as well, so we made the change of discontinuing overall in order to achieve better results that we were looking for. Even mentioned before, when our equipment was depreciating, instead of just letting it go further, we took the initiative to purchase more and expand our operations in order to take that high leap of growth that we had from years 15 to 16. So those results from those minor changes were impactful in our company. For competitors, we always have to analyze what others are doing. One example that we have is that we noticed that another company decided to pay off all of their debts faster in order to just better their company. So we followed suit, and it actually turned out very beneficial for us. So if we didn't analyze what other competitors were doing in that sense, we might have been in debt, went into the red, or just went bankrupt altogether because we weren't paying attention on how to navigate our simulation properly. Another thing that's really, really important is communication with our co-managers. If one of us was having an issue or just start changing things without letting the others know, we might be either negating the other work that we set us up for success, or further going into turmoil and just not being conducive with each other and making the simulation and our firm the best it can be. And quality versus quantity. At one point, we were trying to make a lot of shoes that were high quality, and that's why we kind of suffered in the beginning. Once we kind of realized that lesson really quickly, we kind of decreased the amount of shoes that we were producing and still kept the quality just about the same, so we can still, again, fulfill the mission that we were going for of high quality shoes, but at a an affordable-ish price. And then if this was a real world company, one, we'd have $1 million, and that's great. We would probably do a lot of endorsements in different ways, whether it be like email, magazines, paper ads, in the mail, anything like that, just to get our name out there and build that brand awareness, just because it would have just probably made more sense, and not just hoping that someone would find our company and just buy just because. Creating a healthy work environment. Although we did take the initiative to make sure that our workplace was conducive, the good is not good enough. We want to be the best company that we can be, and it's very important to make sure that your employees are very happy and very productive. So you probably want to take a look at other companies like Apple and see how they take care of their employees and see if we can better their strategy or even surpass it so we can have, again, the best company we can with the highest amount of profit, because anyone who wants to be there is happy to be there, not just because they have to be there. And we're continuously evolving our resources. So it's very important that we do a lot of R&D. We didn't really dive into that too much into the simulation. We kind of just went in different markets and had different factories. But there's a whole other scheme of that we would probably want to dip into, having just further research, finding new cool ways to sell our shoes and even create our shoes so more people will be interested and we would trend. Which is why I said trend. Social media. It's the best way to get anything out here in today's age. If your company is not on social media at this point, you just really don't want yourself to succeed. So we would probably want to run on some major platforms like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and whatever else comes out there. It's kind of important to, again, have someone recognize your brand. If they see it on there and it looks interesting or cool and intriguing, we can use the click and bait and have them click right there if they're on Instagram and go right to our website and just shop or browse or whatever they want to do with it, just to get ourselves out there. So thank you for watching our presentation. Leave positive comments below.
Yeah, we can't wait to see yours too.
We're watching.